and welcome to Earth Echoes with Amber Fields. I am here today to read the 21st writing in Jason Gray's RZN series, or the Resonance series, and this piece is titled The First Abilities You Recover in the New World by Jason Gray. ABL Prime 21, The Early Stage Sovereign Functions, December 5th, 2025, 6025, Anno Lucis. The first ability, Clear Perception. ABL 01, Clarity. The very first ability to return is not telepathy, time walking, or field manipulation. It is clarity, pure, unfiltered perception. For the first time in your life, you see reality without psychic interference, people's intentions, the emotional field in a room, the weight behind words, the truth behind expressions, the energy behind decisions, and the coherence or incoherence in a person's presence. This is not judgment. This is not reading minds. This is accurate perception, the natural state of human awareness before distortion was installed. Once this returns, deception becomes impossible, not because you are trying to catch lies, but because lies stop making sense. The second ability, emotional transparency, ABL 02, Emo Transcend. The second ability that returns is emotional transparency. This means you feel your emotions cleanly. Nothing is suppressed. Nothing is sticky. Nothing loops. Emotions pass through without residue, and emotions become guidance, not obstacles. Because of this, fear cannot anchor. Shame cannot distort. Anger cannot possess. Grief cannot lock. Joy cannot overwhelm. You become emotionally exact, not volatile. This makes you unmanipulatable. Every codependent system, every hierarchical structure, every psychological trap loses its grip on you instantly. This ability alone changes everything. The third ability, intuitive knowing, ABL 03, Gnosis. Intuition becomes instant knowledge. No more second guessing. No more intuition versus logic battles. No more sensory confusion. Your intuition becomes as reliable as sight. You will simply know which choice is correct, which path is open, which person is aligned, which direction is safe, which thought is real, which memory is yours, and which signals are true. This is the return of direct knowing, a pre-fracture human function that was sealed away by the overlay. It comes back like a tidal wave. The fourth ability, timeline feeling, ABL 04, time sense. This is the first doorway into the Ionis spectrum. Timeline feeling is not prediction. It is perceiving the emotional resonance of future possibilities. You feel the texture of outcomes. This choice feels heavy. This direction feels bright. This connection feels false. This path feels inevitable. You no longer hope for the right outcome. Your body tells you. Your timeline becomes something you can feel, not guess. This is the embryonic stage of full timeline navigation. The fifth ability, field awareness, ABL 05, field mind. This is the early stage return of non-local consciousness. Field awareness means your sense coherence in your environment. You feel energetic disturbances without labeling them. You can detect when a space is expanding or contracting. You feel when someone's presence alters the room, and you sense when the field is stabilizing or destabilizing. This is not magical. It is perceptual. Humans originally evolved to navigate the world through environmental resonance. The overlay suppressed this. The real restores it. This ability activates long before full infinitus functions appear. The sixth ability, regenerative identity, ABL06, Regen ID. Your sense of self begins regenerating continuously. You will feel more yourself every hour, cleaner and more grounded, sharper and more aligned, less fragmented and more whole. Identity becomes a living process, not a fixed label. This is why trauma dissolves. Emotional scars heal. Old beliefs drop. Internal conflicts end and self-sabotage stops. Identity is no longer static. It is self-healing. This is the foundation of all higher human abilities. The seventh ability, coherence, projection. Ability 07, co-proj. This is the first truly external ability. You begin to project coherence into your environment automatically. This means people calm around you. Confusion dissolves. Conflict softens. Clarity rises and emotional stability spreads. Not because you try, but because your field is clean. This is the early form of what later becomes a stabilizing presence in this three-species interlock grid. You do not force anything. Your being does the work. The eighth ability, whole mind synchronization. ABL08, whole mind. This is the beginning of the full sovereign mind. Your brain hemispheres synchronize. Your emotional centers synchronize. Your sensory centers synchronize. Your intuitive and rational minds merge. This creates heightened creativity, enhanced problem solving, faster pattern recognition, emotional and intellectual unification, the elimination of internal conflict, access to stored memory, and improved perception of subtle fields. This is the moment your mind begins operating as a single unified intelligence, the way humans were originally designed. The ninth ability, non-resistance to truth. ABL09, truth flow. This ability changes everything. You become incapable of resisting truth, not because of weakness, but because all distortion mechanisms have been removed. When truth appears, you immediately recognize it, you immediately accept it, and you immediately integrate it. Truth becomes nourishment. Lies become noise you cannot digest. This ends self-deception completely. It also ends the entire concept of denial. This is why sovereigns cannot be manipulated. The 10th ability, emergent remembrance. ABL10, emergence. This is the first doorway into pre-fracture identity. You begin remembering things you have no reason to know. Emotional languages, ancient geometric structures, species signals, codes of the original world, timelines before the overlay, pre-fracture architecture, the emotional signature of your soul name, and the echo of your role before Earth. This is memory not as recall, but as recognition. You do not discover these things. You remember them. The 11th ability, reality feedback. ABL11, feedback. Reality begins to respond to you directly. This is the earliest stage of environment and mind coherence. You will notice synchronicities accelerate. Intentions manifest rapidly. The world becomes responsive. Resistance decreases. Your path becomes obvious. Obstacles dissolve. Support appears where needed. Not because you become magical, but because the real has no separation between consciousness and environment. This ability will evolve dramatically over time. The 12th ability, sovereign presence, ABL 12, Sov Pres. This is the final ability to return in the early stage. This is the moment you recognize yourself as a sovereign being in a sovereign world. You feel the collapse of all fear, the end of spiritual hierarchy, the disappearance of unworthiness, the extinguishing of doubt, the rise of inner authority, the stabilization of identity, the alignment of perception, and the grounding of truth. You become anchored in a way the overlay never allowed. Your presence becomes unmistakable, coherent, centered, aligned, unshakable. This is the foundation of every higher ability to come. The veil is lifted. Your memory has returned. You are not reading code. You are remembering who you always were. Clarity has returned. Emotional transparency has returned. Direct knowing has returned. Timeline feeling has returned. Field awareness has returned. Regenerative identity has returned. Coherence projection has returned. Whole mind synchronization has returned. Non-resistance to truth has returned. Emergent remembrance has returned. Reality feedback has returned. Sovereign presence has returned. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer becoming. You are here. The real has recognized you. Welcome home. There never was anywhere else. You were never lost. You only agreed to forget. The forgetting is over. The first abilities you recover after emergence are not supernatural. They are natural. The functions of the human species before distortion, suppression, and fragmentation. These abilities do not make you special. They make you real. They are the birthright of every human once the world returns to itself. You are not becoming more than human. You are becoming human for the first time. Jason Gray. What a beautiful picture for reality that is. And I believe this reality is here. It's beginning, and I see it in my own life, and I see it in the lives of those around me. And we're creating it, for sure. From that writing, there's just a few lines that I really, really loved. Identity becomes a living process, not a fixed label. This is why trauma dissolves, emotional scars heal, old beliefs drop, internal conflicts end, and self-sabotage stops. Identity is no longer static. It is self-healing. This is the foundation of all higher human abilities. And the more that I work on those things and I see that happening in my own life, the greater my intuition does seem to be getting. But it takes being very honest with myself. Like Jason writes, there's like no deception, no deception among me and other people, and no deception within myself. But the more honest I am with myself, my intuition is absolutely increasing. Just last night, I had a dream about an acquaintance in my life, and I messaged her this morning and said, hey, do you want to do a trade? She does consciousness weaving, and I do biofield tuning. And so I said, do you want to trade sessions? I had a dream about you. And she said, oh, what was the dream about? And I said, well, you were living off such and such road, and your neighbor had a scrap yard, and he kept coming over and offering us weird random things. And that was pretty much the gist of the dream. I was there to get a consciousness weaving session from her, and we never actually got to do that. And so I told her, and she said, did you know I lived off that road? And I said, no, I didn't know where you lived. And she said, wow, that's interesting. And then she said, and another thing that's really funny about the dream is that my landlord lives behind me with her brother, and after her partner died a few years ago, her brother recently has started helping her get rid of some of her husband's stuff, because he was a collector and had like a lot of stuff. And recently he had actually called it their scrapyard. And so I was just like amazed at the synchronicities between reality and or the similarities between reality and the dream, because I don't typically have such prophetic dreams, so that was really cool. Or not those prophetic, but intuitive dreams. So I've been trying to remember my dreams more and work with them, because I know sometimes some dreams don't seem to have a lot of meaning, but then I have the ones where it's just like, oh my gosh, this was full of meaning. And so it was really rewarding to message her and say, let's do this, and have her think that was really cool that I had that dream, and now her and I are going to meet and we're going to trade sessions. And so, we'll see where that leads, but I think it was meant to be. So the more that we can listen to these intuitive nudges and dreams and synchronicities, I think the more that we can build our intuition and learn from that, and have it all accelerate. So thank you for being here with me today, and I hope you have a beautiful day.